Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturcio and Chris Gucci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Tuesday, April the 4th, right here, live from Chop Studios. Almost tripped up over there. I was getting emotional. I mean, this UConn game was just incredible. It is Dave Sturcio. It is Dave Sturcio. It is Chris Gucci, as always. And we are coming to you, like I said before, live from Chop Studios. A lot to get into today. The NBA resumes its action in its final week. The final playoff push is here. There's news about Kyrie Irving. What else is new? And, of course, there's some developments in the NFL when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, when it comes to Odell Beckham Jr. We'll get into all that today. But first, obviously, we have some champions crowned, and they are none other than the UConn Huskies. They went out there, did their thing. We said it yesterday. They've dominated the entire tournament. They've dominated inside the paint. They dominated the perimeter. These guys just dominated the entire way, and there was no doubt, and you even said it yesterday. You're like, has anybody come close? You know, and we're like, not really, you know. And last night, the Aztecs of San Diego State pulled within 5 late, but then, again, UConn is just that team.
I had the game on, but I was doing a couple other things, as I said I would be. You know? And then I was like, if this game gets close, which it really didn't, I saw it get within 6 was what I saw. I didn't even see 5. I saw them within 6 on a 9-0 run. I literally got up, walked downstairs, probably made a disgusting snack that I did not deserve nor should have had at that moment. But I walked back upstairs. I sit down, and it was back up to 12. So I was like, I missed literally the only good 1 minute of this game.
It's unfortunate.
UConn dominated.
San Diego State had a great run, right? We all watched it throughout the course of the last month. But, you know, you can't go that cold to start the game, because once you get behind, it is a very, very hard task to come back to a powerhouse or come back on a powerhouse like UConn. The Aztecs missed at one point in the first half 14 straight shots. They went 11 minutes without a field goal. 11. So just imagine how cold you could possibly go. They couldn't hit a broadside of a barn. It was tough sledding for the Aztecs. I got to give it up, obviously, to Adama Sanogo. That dude, listen, first of all, he averaged 19.7 points a game throughout the course of the tournament, 9.8 rebounds a game throughout the course of the tournament. He scored 21, I believe, in the Final Four, and then last night, another 17 and 10 performance. This dude's ready for the NBA. From everything that I've read and the interviews and the post games, this dude will be a player in the league. But again, shout out to him. He was in some good company. I saw a stat last night where it was him, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Christian Laettner, and somebody, I forget the fourth name, but it was like average what he was doing at one point. I think he missed it by a rebound, so he fell out of that company. But at one point, he was averaging. He was in the conversation with some heavy hitters, right? Yeah. Like, dominant.
He's ready for the NBA, but you know who's not going to the NBA?
Any of the Aztecs. I'm
Andre
kidding.
Jackson. He said that yesterday. He already said that he's going to stay at college at UConn, and the only way that he's going to leave is if the coach tells him to. Which, honestly, I think there's still a chance he does leave.
Why would the coach tell him to leave?
Because
Go get your bag?
The coach is supposed to be talking to the player about what's best for the player at this point.
Sure.
Understanding that, you know, the school takes a hit, but a player doing well in the NBA and succeeding, and also a player that you care about getting paid and being a high draft pick, if the coach thinks and he talks to some scouts and says, hey, he's going to be a lottery pick, then you almost have no choice but to inform the player, hey, you're not welcome back here anymore because it's in your best interest to move on. I don't think that's going to happen, though, because I feel, you know, the NBA is a big leap. I think he stays. Based on how he sounded after the game, he's definitely staying.
And that's after a win. Yeah. You would think after a win they kind of want to cruise into the next level and see what they can do at the next level.
I'm surprised he said anything at all.
That's true.
I'm saying nothing at that point. I'm like, we got to figure this out.
Or how about, can I just win my championship and just can I relax for a little bit?
Exactly. Basically.
UConn, that was their 5th national title appearance. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They are 5-0. They've never lost a national championship game. That continued last night. So congratulations to the UConn Huskies. The college basketball season is now over, and all focus now moves to the NBA. And obviously the NBA's playoffs are about to start. But more importantly for these college kids, the NBA draft is the next step, and some of these guys are going to be some significant role players over there. Now, going into the NBA, the playoff push, look, it's the final week of the season. There are some games on the docket tonight that mean a lot. Before I get into the games, I do want to say that there's a report coming out that you said, we talked about it yesterday for like a fraction of a second in the office, and say like Kyrie and Luka both to possibly be shut down for the final stretch of the season. Now, when you look at the standings, the Dallas Mavericks right now are sitting there. Now, look, it's not over by any stretch. They're down a game with about 3 to go. So they have a chance to potentially get into the playoffs. But what is the logic behind shutting these guys down if they're right there? Because now the report I was going to say is that Kyrie Irving will test free agency despite being eligible for an extension from Dallas. So all of a sudden, this guy ain't loyal. I was going another way, but dude, what's going on with Kyrie again?
I mean, what do you mean loyal? They just traded for him 20 games ago, not even, and they played like garbage since he's been there. So I would be like, yeah, I'm going to test free agency too. You owe it. It's the NBA. People are going to look for their money. Free agency allows you to get more money. I mean, at least testing it. I think Kyrie gets paid by Dallas. Dallas wants to keep him, but if you're an agent, you don't want him to say, yeah, I'm back. No. Let's figure things out.
Yeah.
Same reason why the kid from UConn shouldn't have said a word yesterday. But you're asking, what's the logic in shutting them down?
When they're right, they're still in striking distance of the play-in tournament.
I don't think that there is any logic in shutting them down. I don't think they're going to be shut down. I think that what they're doing is a little PR control, maybe save Luka's image a little bit in terms of how they buckled down the stretch. I think both guys are playing with fairly significant injuries. Luka's dealing with the thigh. Kyrie dealing with, I think, an ankle.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think they play because you're not going to keep me off the court. If I'm able to play the last 10 games, I'm going to play the last 3. So if they lose today, or if
they got a game tomorrow.
If they
They're
lose
off
tomorrow, then I would imagine that then it's more realistic to shut them down because now you're looking at, depending on who wins or loses today and tomorrow, it could be a lot taller of an order, and it's pretty hard right now. But again, the teams that are above them, I'm sure that they're not winning every night based on the fact that they're also the 10, 11 seed.
It's getting tighter and tighter, but the games that are relevant tonight, I'll start with a couple of them, starting in the East. Boston at Philly, which is, again, one of those playoff dream matchups that you're kind of predicting might come across your bracket. You know what I mean? It might actually happen. Boston visits Philly. If Philly has any hope to move to the 2, they got to have this game. But again, when you look at the standings right now with the final week of the season, they are 3 games back. So the Celtics can kind of solidify themselves as the 2 seed with a win. They could probably
if they're 3 back with 3 to play.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
So
over.
if Boston wins tonight, they will be the 2
Honestly,
seed.
I don't even expect Philly to come firing on all cylinders today. I think if there's somebody that's banged up, sit them. Anything like that in this game, it's really no matter. They're not gonna pass them. They might even already have clinched the 2 seed for all we know. I don't know what the tiebreakers look like, right?
They've clinched a playoff spot. That's about it.
But who?
The Boston Celtics.
Yeah, but you don't know. It's not going to say they clinched the 2. Does it say that?
No, but you could tell. You could look at the games back.
If they're 3 up, there's 3 to play. They could have very well.
They could have already done it, right?
You know what I mean?
100%.
We just don't know. So,
but Boston could absolutely put the hammer down tonight with a win.
I think Philly probably isn't going into this game with much to lose or win. You know, and both teams right now are looking forward to a potential matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals or the semis, depending on how the seeding lines up. But
yeah.
I don't anticipate either of these 2 teams. Unfortunately, this would have lined up to be a great game. But at the same time, I don't even know how important seedings are to some of these teams. I think some teams put a little more onus on it, but you know, if you think you could beat a team, putting all your guys,
you're more or less like get in the dance.
Yeah, let's just get in there.
Beat who you got to beat.
One extra road game in the NBA, it could be trouble. But some of these teams play better on the road. I don't know if Philly or Boston are either of those 2 teams.
Just looking at their away record, Boston is indeed 10 games above 500 away, and the Sixers are about 7 games above 500 away. So they're both good road teams. So again, significant. Boston could put the hammer down and get that 2 seed officially.
I feel like to win any NBA playoff series, you almost always have to win 1 road game.
Yeah, 100%.
Regardless. So,
and you would love to do it early. You know, pick them off, get that split. The Atlanta Hawks are sitting there at the 8 seed right now. They take on the Chicago Bulls, who are sitting there currently at the 10 seed, who have pretty much locked the 10 seed. So the Raptors have already clinched a spot in the play-in bracket, so you don't have to worry about that. They've already clinched that. Chicago, technically right now, has not clinched a playoff spot, but they are right there. It is like a fraction of a percentage point. Chicago, obviously, the win. They'll try to win this game, stay alive. Atlanta can keep the Magic alive with a win. Now, the Magic are the team that's chasing right now and are officially not eliminated.
So I have a question, because when I'm reading this right here, I was like, I know the answer now based on how you said it, but I was thinking like, Atlanta having a magical season, and now I realize that you meant the Orlando Magic.
Yes, I meant the Orlando Magic. They can keep the Orlando
the Magic alive?
They can keep. I hope not. I don't like Atlanta. They can keep the Orlando Magic alive with a win right now. So the Magic are big Hawks fans tonight. The 5 seed Kings taking on the 8 seed New Orleans Pelicans. The Kings are solid there at 5. Pelicans are in that mess, man. That jumbled mess at the back end of the West, starting at, you could say, technically the 5 seed. Between the Clippers, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Wolves, the Thunder. They're all 3 games within each other with like 3 to go. So these are things that are going to crystallize tonight. There's going to be a lot of stuff that goes down tonight. The Kings, a win would pretty much keep them where they are. And you look at New Orleans right now, they could jump to the 7 and 8. How important do you think? I mean, it's almost like a no-brainer. But like for that 5 and 6 seed is so important right now, considering the fact that 7, 8, 9, 10 have to play in this play-in tournament, which again I don't typically agree with. I understand it's extra teams and extra playoffs and extra ratings, and I get all that. But like to avoid this would be wonderful for a team like the Clippers, like the Warriors. Right now, they're both in action. So I don't know.
Lakers too. I mean, the Lakers are sitting at the 7. So
the Lakers are sitting at the 7. That's the next team I was going to talk about. They take on the 12 spot Jazz, who are literally, again, the Jazz not mathematically eliminated, probably tonight. If the Lakers could win, they can essentially eliminate the Jazz, get rid of the Jazz, and then potentially move out of that play-in game. Like all of a sudden, we were talking about it as LeBron was banged up. Could they stay relevant? Could they stay in the hunt? And now all of a sudden, with a couple games to play, they could potentially get out of this play-in tournament.
Go 1 through 4 in the West right now.
Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, and the Suns. And,
so Nuggets. Oh, you have Kings 5 here. That's why I got confused.
What do I have
on the sheet on the notes? You put Kings 5 seed. The Kings are the 3rd.
Kings are the 3rd. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, that's why I got confused for a second. But right now, I don't know who's the tougher matchup. You can make the case that getting the playing game. Who's the 1 and 2 again? It's the Nuggets.
Nuggets and the Grizzlies.
I wouldn't mind playing the Grizzlies right now.
I mean, John Morant's back, so they've been playing a little bit better basketball lately. They're 8 and 2 in their last 10. Those guys are heating up at the right time.
But you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
There could be a case made that the lower seeds here, meaning the Kings and whoever the 4 is, or the Suns, are a tougher matchup in the postseason than Memphis or the Nuggets at this point.
Right. The biggest game of the night, I think, is OKC traveling to play the Golden State Warriors. Both teams absolutely need to win. The Warriors don't want to drop into that playing game because right now what you're seeing are the Warriors sitting there at the 6, and they're only a half game up on the Lakers. So just like that, within a blink of an eye, tomorrow morning we might be waking up with the Lakers in the 6 and the Warriors dropping to the 7 into the play-in game. Or play-in series. That's incredible how like close and narrow it is in the NBA. And of course, the Dallas Mavericks, big-time Warriors fans here. They're right behind OKC right now. They need desperately for them to even have a sniff at the playoffs. They need OKC to lose this game to the Warriors. And again, you can make the case for if for whatever reason OKC wins, right, and they beat the Warriors, the Mavericks play the Kings, I believe, the next night. Then you could say, like, all right, we might shut it down. We're 2 games back with nothing to play.
I think what it is there's a lot of people talking a lot publicly about how bad this duo is done since they've been together, but I think that neither of them have been healthy, and the Mavericks are kind of just trying to let the public know, like, yo, guys, we might even shut these guys down. They're not right. And it's a PR move more so than anything because they're both going to play tomorrow. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah,
maybe Kyrie sits, but Luke has got to play. Luke has got to play. His image is on the line a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get very, very down to the nitty-gritty here with the NBA. So we'll see. NFL news as we roll on with the show. Before we get out of here, obviously, couple little things to note. Last night, there was a public offer already tweeted out, reported that the Baltimore Ravens are now in on the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes. Now, I don't know what that does for him as far as what the number is. Rumors and reports of saying that he's seeking $15 million. With the Ravens about to have to drop the biggest guaranteed contract in the history of mankind, right? Could they afford a 1-year deal with Odell Beckham Jr.? Like, I understand the cap could be maneuvered and manipulated in so many ways, but like, is Odell worth $15 million for 1 year? Because he would be joining Rashad Bateman. He would be joining, obviously, hopefully the reemergence of a Mark Andrews at the tight end position. All of a sudden, that Ravens offense, J.K. Dobbins, like, it looks a little bit more stout if you add an Odell Beckham Jr. to you would hope, Lamar Jackson-led offense.
Well, I think part of it might also be a way to try and get Lamar to start talking again and to get back into the fold. Look, I don't know what Odell's worth because I don't know how healthy he is, but I know based on what we were talking about prior to this news coming out, it was he wanted a multi-year deal, upwards of $20 million. I think that was a little crazy. I think $15 million is right on par for what he should be asking for. I don't think he gets it unless there's a couple teams that start lining up for him. I don't think Odell's going to be in any rush to sign with the Ravens because I think he's too smart to go somewhere where there's a chance that it's Tyler Huntley as QB1 next year.
Correct.
He's not going to do that. And also, it's the philosophy that they use. I think Odell gets frustrated early and often in Baltimore with the amount of run plays, and I don't think he's signing up anywhere to go be a downfield
Or does that
blocker.
benefit him? Does that benefit him? He's not going to be expected
I don't think it
to
benefits.
do as much.
I think targets is what receivers want. Like a guy like Odell, he's not really too interested in going to play smash mouth, block a safety. He has nothing. He don't want anything to do with that, and that's not necessarily a knock on him because that's never been what his game was.
Right.
And I'm not bringing in Odell to do that. If I'm going to keep that philosophy, I'm going to go 2 tight end sets, and I'm going to keep going that way. I'm not going to try and bring in this star receiver that's going to hopefully blow the top off the defense so we can hand the ball off a bunch of times in a row.
Yeah, so that's
Odell's
news.
not signing with the Ravens. I'll be shocked if that goes down.
We'll see if that happens. Maybe it's just putting a little more pressure on the New York Football Jets, who have also been in the conversation with Odell Beckham. Aaron Rodgers' watch continues. We don't have that solidified yet. Speaking of the draft, because of draft capital probably will be involved in that Aaron Rodgers deal, you said yesterday you read that the Titans are interested in moving all the way up to the 3. Chris, why are the Titans moving up to the 3?
Well, 2 reasons. One, they may be really interested in one of the quarterbacks, and if they happen to land a good deal, maybe they take it, right? But you know who's sitting at 4 and talking about wanting a quarterback?
The Colts.
I think that they're really
Division rivals.
The idea here is a little smoke and mirrors. They're throwing up a signal saying, hey, we might make a trade for that 3 spot, so if you want it, you better pony up and beat us. And this way the Colts trade a little bit more. It's a little jockeying by interdivision rivals. I think it's good GM work.
It's so funny that's being said. As Todd McShay, somebody I read thoroughly, his newest mock draft just came out this morning. And I'm reading what he's got here. Chalk, again, C.J. Stroud is the pick to the Carolina Panthers. Then Bryce Young goes to the Texans. But then at 3, he says the Colts are not going to take any chances. They jump to 3, which is just 1 spot. But who knows what the compensation is going to cost them just to get to the 1 spot. Maybe like next year's 2, or maybe this year's 2, or whatever the case may be. They're going to go and get.
It might be next year's 1.
They're not going to do that.
Bro, you'd be surprised what it takes for a quarterback. Let's look at what they just gave up for the 1 pick. Right? Like, so let's look at what Carolina
But that was
just
a
gave up for the 1
9.
pick.
That was from 9 to 1. This is from 4 to 3.
This is preventative. If you have a team that's in your division that's going after a guy that you covet, what's it worth to you? That changes everything. When it comes to the NFL and specifically on like you're gonna have to make this decision on the fly because my estimation is they're gonna take this down to the final hour, and if you have 2 teams jockeying, it's like you start ponying up because you have 10 minutes to decide. You don't have a couple days. This is a draft day trade most likely, so I could see them really ponying up, and we're look at what Trey Lance got. Look at what the pick for these guys. It's not like it's unprecedented. There's
Baker Mayfield went 1 overall.
Well, no. I'm saying like look what the Bears gave up to acquire Justin Fields. Look at those trades. That's the precedent. Look what the Niners gave up to get the pick to get Trey Lance.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility that somebody's going to give up a 1.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, again, that is some gamesmanship happening between the Titans and the Colts right now. But according to McShay, the Colts make that plump. They'd have to. And then the Arizona Cardinals get the guy they were going to get anyway because it was just 1 pick behind. That's Will Anderson Jr. Out of Alabama. Just kind of piggybacking off the rest of this mock draft. Jalen Carter falls to 5 to the Seattle Seahawks.
I think he falls even further.
I think so too. The Raiders pass on a quarterback. Atlanta passes on a quarterback. So this is interesting. Now the quarterbacks, after the first 3, we're talking about, the one I'm talking about is Will Levis. This is to see where he would drop to. The 10, looks like the Eagles get an edge rusher. The Titans are the first ones at 11. Now, right now, if the Titans trade up, that'll be a different story. In this mock draft, they are at 11. They go get the Ohio State receiver that was mocked to the Packers last week, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So we're going to see that. Houston takes another linebacker. Jets go offensive tackle at 13. So no pick there. No pick for the Packers there. And then right here is the splash. The Tampa Bay Bucks run to the podium and say, Bill Belichick, listen, guy, I need this. I need this pick. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, draft Will Levis at 14. So We'll see if that happens. And remember, they already signed Baker Mayfield. They have Kyle Trask.
So the Tampa Bay Bucks, do the Patriots have that pick?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing what I've done the last 2 years and just confused the Patriots.
No, they actually have that pick. The Packers get Miles Murphy, defensive end out of Clemson. Not bad. Washington Commanders take Joey Porter Jr. That's the cornerback that I'm more or less looking at because, of course, name variation. You know who he is. The 18th pick, the Detroit Lions take Bijan Robinson. 18th overall, running back out of Texas. So, which was, by the way, he was at the card show the other day, right? So that was cool. Big dude. The Patriots, who traded back in an offensive tackle. Zay Flowers, who was over there on the Mojo app. There was a Mojo post the other day or yesterday about some of the higher receivers on where they're climbing already. It looks like Zay Flowers is one of the ones that they covet, and he will land in Seattle, according to this. And, of course, as we go, Quentin Johnston, receiver out of TCU, lands in Baltimore. So imagine having Odell, Johnston, Bateman. All of a sudden, you got yourself a threesome over there. The Vikings at 23. We've seen this before. Hendon Hooker. So they're trying to get the successor of Kirk Cousins.
I hope so.
Yeah, you would. Look, if Hooker is what he was before the ACL injury, you probably won't hope so.
So you mean like
he was going to win Heisman,
like a really good college football quarterback? Okay, let's count all the Heismans that have succeeded in
Here we go, Tim Tebow and all.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't necessarily translate. So I don't know enough about Hendon Hooker, but I know what I've read and what I've seen is that he's just not an NFL quarterback. He's somewhere around like a 4th round prospect. They're saying.
So he's basically
maybe with the
he's Malik Willis.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
The Cowboys draft a tight end. What are we doing here? Todd. Come on, man. They let Dalton Schultz go, okay? And then because the reason why they let him walk is because they have a very good.
They plan on drafting a tight end.
No, they have a good depth chart over there at tight end with whatchamacallit, Ferguson and Hendershot and McEwen, and they're fine.
Yeah, they're all studs. Dude.
Jordan Addison, wide receiver, goes to the Bills to stack with Stephon Diggs. And they round out the 31st pick with defensive end going to the Chiefs. But one more thing before we get out of here. Hopkins watch, right? So we've talked about DeAndre Hopkins a little bit over the course of the last couple of weeks. Trade, compensation, what's he worth? Huge contract. What do the Cardinals wind up doing? There are now reports saying that he could just be outright cut. Do the Cardinals take that plunge? Do the Cardinals just say, the hell with this guy? We're going to eat all this money. Goodbye? Is it that fractured?
It's not that it's that fractured. I think it's nothing to do with the fracture. It has everything to do with the financials. If a team isn't willing to take him on in a trade because they know that the Cardinals are up against it and there's not many suitors because of the contract situation, let's work this out where he's outright released. If a team claims him, then they pick up on the contract where it left off. But realistically, he'll probably clear.
He'll clear waivers.
And then he'll be able to sign wherever he wants. The Cardinals will owe him some money. They'll take their cap hit. But GMs aren't going to be lining up to trade for a guy that they're going to have to work out a deal with based on a pre-existing bad contract. I think it's going to sit there for a little bit. If the Cardinals are moving off of, they're in a rebuild at this point, I would say. At least for this season, it's like they could hit the reset button because Kyler's out for the first half of the season probably.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins wants nothing to do with being there, nor should he at this point. I mean, it makes sense for them to release him if they can't find a suitor.
Okay.
So, yeah, I do believe that.
Interesting. Now, what's the number? I mean, if Odell's out there asking for 15 and this guy's making over 20, what's he going to demand from a team? He's going to want more money than Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, I don't know that he's going to want necessarily more money per, but he's going to want a longer deal and deserves to get a longer deal.
He's one of the best in the league.
But we all know what happens when you're on the wrong side of 30. In this league, the amount of receiver talent that comes into the league year after year, it's harder and harder to stay relevant. Not that Hopkins is not every bit relevant right now, but understanding that the dynamic of the financials over in Arizona, it makes sense that he's going to be cut there. But if I'm looking at him, I'm saying 2-year deal.
And this is why he's getting cut. I just looked at his cap number this year, man. $29.9 million on the cap.
What's the cap if they cut him? What's the hit?
The cap savings, they would be if they cut him outright cut pre-June 1st, they'd save about $9 million.
Well,
there you go. I mean, because next year's cap number is 25. Like in his free agent year would be 2025. So it seems like he's going to be cut. Yeah. Just based off the numbers and just based off the logic.
When you're looking at $9 million savings, it's like Are they winning a chip this year with Hopkins? Is he really like selling a ton of tickets with
a lot of dead cap,
with a
though.
bad quarterback?
A lot of dead money. $21 million
Guess
in
what?
dead cap money.
They're basically going into a dead season with a first-year head coach, right? First-year head coach and a quarterback that's rehabbing from an ACL. Well, let's pay $45 million or $40 million and then take on that dead cap hit next year with a receiver who's a year older.
I figured it out. What they're going to do, they could designate this as a post-June first cut and save $19 million.
Oh, then that's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. I just switched the old Tapsky over here, and I'm like, oh, hold on. What did they wait a couple months before they actually do this?
Yeah.
But again, that's how you manipulate this stuff, man. It's like you could, like Zeke got cut, but designated as a post-June cut.
So basically, unless there's a receiver need on draft day and a team that's looking at it like, hey, look, we could get this guy, but then you're also inheriting in the 4th round of a draft or 3rd round on day 3 of a draft, you're going to inherit a $20 million cap hit.
No.
There has to be a restructure after that, and I'm sure there will be, but draft day trades, I don't know that that's going to be lining up with what Hopkins wants to do. He may get traded and be pretty pissed off about where he lands and have no interest in a restructure, especially if he's hearing that.
I just realized this also with the post-June first cut, $19.4 million, only a $10 million dead cap hit. He's got no guaranteed money on his deal this year or next year or this previous year. There was no guaranteed money, so he's out. DeAndre Hopkins, hottest free agent receiver out there.
$10 million, though.
Yes, he did. He already got that in the bag. You can follow us and all the information and the news coming out as the draft gets closer at Mojo, M-O-J-O. Very easy to find us on TikTok, Instagram, and the old Twitter machine. And, of course, join the Discord right now. That is the daily conversation happening each and every day to decipher who you want to go long on, short on, daily props, liquid props, all that stuff. A lot of interesting stuff. Look, every other sports book that I've ever gambled on, you know, you have this this situation where there's an early cash out, right? If you can, right? There might be a good situation, right? Mojo gives it a completely different look, man. I watched in real time last night. I watched this video. Sporty Jordy put it out there, and she said that, you know, you can make the bet, you can cash out, and go back in if you want at a lower number, cash out again. It's really all about like cashing out at the right moment. Like just for instance, you said, hey, they were down 6. I went to get a snack and they were down 12. At that point, when you see it go back to 12, goodbye. You know, like you cash out on your UConn bet right there because it ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. You know, so that's very interesting stuff. You definitely want to check that out over there on the Mojo app. You can download it right now on iTunes. In the Google Play, I messed it up again. If it's iTunes, it's the Apple Store. There it is, the Apple Store. Whatever. I don't buy any apps. I download the good ones. If you want
to listen to the Mojo app, go download it on iTunes.
You can. You know what? Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are available on iTunes. So if you're just tired of looking at our faces and you want to listen to this on podcast form,
I dare you to go listen to that podcast. I dare you.
I mean, look, the podcast is available on Apple and Spotify and Google and all that stuff. So we're available there if you want to hear our majestic voices and my nasally voice today, man. I love the spring, but I hate the spring. You know what I'm saying? It's like right there.
It's going to be like 80 today.
Sniffing all over the place. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for Dave Sturchio and, of course, Chris Gucci, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. Back here tomorrow with a loaded NBA slate results. And going forward, we are back to the wall here with the NBA. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, sir.